We would call Lieutenant George Harrigan.
All right, Lieutenant Harrigan.
No, I'm going to object at this point.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to object at this point.
All right, I'll hear your objection.
You've heard a multitude of victim impact statements from the victims themselves as well as family members. The state's now seeking to call what I understand to be the public information officer, or the person responsible for press releases for the sheriff's office to talk about a victim impact when he is not a victim. He's a member of the law enforcement community. Now, I know we're not in a death penalty trial or sentencing in front of a jury, but the Florida Supreme Court has spoken to the limits of victim impact testimony in cases, and I'm referencing the case of Wheeler v. State, 4 Southern 3rd, 599, Florida Supreme Court from 2009. And in the Wheeler case, the court had the occasion to address the victim impact evidence and the statements thereof. And in that case, Florida Supreme Court, citing the United States Supreme Court in Payne v. Tennessee, 501 U.S. 808 from 1991, pinpoint site 821 to 826, states, although the United States Supreme Court and this court have ruled that victim impact testimony is admissible, such testimony has specific limits. Those witnesses providing victim impact testimony are prohibited from giving characterizations and opinions about the crime. The court goes on to talk about the number of witnesses that have been approved, 4, 5, and in one case 12. But at this point, calling a member of law enforcement under the guise of victim impact testimony, when such officer is also responsible for doing press release and pressers for the sheriff's office, I believe exceeds the permissible scope of victim impact testimony. It's cumulative and it's inappropriate, and even though Wheeler talks about it in terms of death penalty in front of a jury, the same considerations apply to a sentencing before a judge in a non-capital case. And respectfully, Your Honor, I think this is approaching cumulative and beyond the scope of appropriate victim impact testimony, and on that basis we object and seek to exclude this witness under that basis.
State response.
Your Honor, the case Payne versus Tennessee and the other ones that counsel referenced is very, very specific, and it is to death penalty victim impact, which has its own statute governing it, and that is before a jury. It's why it's limited. And in that case, it has its limitations with the volumes of witnesses and things that are allowed to be permitted in front of a jury. The state has not exceeded that here. We have 3 victims, and that case law does not apply. And I would disagree with Mr. Katurgis to any other area of victim impact. There are not a lot of rules related to general victim impact. All of the case law goes to death penalty litigation in front of a jury. That being said, Lieutenant Harrigan has a very unique perspective in this case. You heard Madison's mother refer to him as Madison's person. He's not talking from a law enforcement perspective about the case. He's had a very unique experience traveling with her and being with her and watching her recover in the public eye and the community impact surrounding that and how it impacts her. And so for that, he has a very short statement here today I would like him to read.
All right, over defense objection, I'm going to permit this witness to testify. Sir, if you'll raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, have a seat.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I met Madison on July 7th, 2023, 34 days after the event that changed her life. Madison called a press conference, and she wanted to address the community. She closed that press conference with these words: "My story is just getting started." Now, I didn't know what that meant at the time, but I'm here now to give you a glimpse, a small glimpse, into Madison's story that I have experienced over the last 16 months. During her senior year of high school, Madison teamed up with the One Love Foundation and started a One Love Club at Ponte Vedra High School to educate other young people about healthy and unhealthy relationships. Due to Madison's influence, several One Love clubs have been started at area high schools. The University of North Florida ladies softball team invited Madison to throw out the first pitch at a home game they dedicated to the One Love Foundation. UNF has now adopted the One Love mission. She's spoken in front of clubs, organizations, and teams. She's been a guest speaker at the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office events, fire rescue events, and is known to frequently visit both agencies. She's been recognized by numerous organizations for her passion to help others, and she's become a sought-after speaker. At the beginning of this month, Madison was the keynote speaker at a law enforcement conference in Washington State, where she shared her story of overcoming trauma with hundreds of attendees. Her influence on patients and staff at Brooks Rehabilitation has been nothing less than incredible. Madison will be featured in a Brooks Thanksgiving Day commercial to be aired during the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and will be named the 2024 Brooks Rehabilitation Champion during a gala at the beginning of this year, next year. People from around the country have reached out to her, and she's been an inspiration to those who have experienced their own trauma. She should have entered her senior year playing softball and looking forward to an athletic scholarship, but instead she spent her senior year balancing intensive physical therapy, schoolwork, and fighting to walk again while learning to do life differently. One of the national news organizations in this case used the line to describe her as a star athlete. And it's easy for us to make the mistake of thinking that she was an athlete. But you see, Madison has been more of an athlete in the last 16 months than most of us will be in our entire lives. Her grit, strength, resilience, and incredible spirit has gripped this community and now the nation. On behalf of the more than 1,000 members of the St. Johns County Sheriff's Office, we are and always will be Madison Strong. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Thank you.